chances of weather. Now you can too. Go to weather.com for the most extensive severe weather coverage. WeatherScope.
A powerful storm is pounding areas of the southeast and mid-Atlantic tonight. Good evening and welcome to this edition of WeatherScope. I'm Warren Madden. The storm has dumped heavy rain along the coast and well over a foot of snow in some parts of the mountains. Jeff Morrow has been tracking the storm and joins us now for the forecast from the Forecast Center with more.
All right, Warren, we've got a pretty big storm moving up slowly through North Carolina right now. It has been a prolific wet snow producer back into the mountains of North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, and now all the way up to West Virginia. Snow that is bringing down trees and power lines and closing many roads. So it is a mess back up into the Appalachians. Meanwhile, along coastal areas, it's windy, it is raining hard, and there is a little bit of a threat of some minor coastal flooding. Let's go ahead and show you first of all the big picture. And again, here is our storm. It's pretty easy to pick out. You can see the big pinwheeling nature to the storm here. A feed of moisture up offshore, but there is some moisture that is being thrown back to the west here, and perhaps a little bit farther west than what we anticipated, enough to throw enough moisture back up into the mountains where the temperature is right near freezing and we're getting that heavy wet snow. Meanwhile, along the coast, there are gale warnings up from Massachusetts down to South Carolina. And because of a very persistent onshore wind flow here around our big storm, between that and a big high to the north, we do have coastal flood warnings out from Ocracoke Inlet along the Outer Banks. Albemarle and Pamlico Sounds are included all the way up to about Little Egg Inlet along the Jersey Shore. Joining me now from the Outer Banks of North Carolina, experiencing probably some of the worst conditions we've seen all evening, and I have to apologize for maybe the transmission here. It's raining so hard that it may fade on us, but let's see what we can get from Mike. Mike, looks pretty bad.
Jeff, this is about as hard as it's rained that I've seen in a long time. It's like going through a car wash. We're getting horizontal rain off the Atlantic. We're likely in one of these, what we would term a squall, more like a tropical squall you'd see in the summertime. Temperatures tonight are very mild in the mid-50s. We're on the Nags Head, North Carolina fishing pier. The tide is going out, but it's due back in tomorrow morning between 7 and 7:30. And again, there's a risk of some of that overwash in some of those areas. Not here in Nags Head because we have a nice dune. But again tonight, Jeff, drenching downpours. It is just coming down. I can't believe how hard it's raining. And a lot of ponding on the roadways. That's something you have to be worried about this evening, the ponding. Most of this heavy rain, though, will be out of the way before morning rush hour. And then the sunshine gets back in here on Thursday. Jeff, we throw it back to you in Atlanta, where it's obviously a lot drier.
It is a lot drier, Mike. The storm has passed us by, and hopefully that rain will start to back off here in the next hour or two. Mike Seidel reporting live from the Nags Head Fishing Pier there in North Carolina. All right, joining me now here in the Forecast Center is meteorologist Dan Graff. And Dan, they're getting hit hard with a heavy rain along the coast, as we saw. But as far as bad traveling conditions, we've got to go with the snow back up into the mountains.
Yeah, we have a real mess on our hands, not only in North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina. Turns out that there's been a fair amount of snow in the mountains of Tennessee, even as far west as Knoxville, Tennessee, and extreme eastern Kentucky is still getting some snow. We've had some very heavy snows in West Virginia, and now that's starting to move up into Pennsylvania. So tricky forecast tonight, and we certainly have our hands full here in the Forecast Center.
As always. All right, let's go ahead and show the folks, first of all, the whole setup here. And we have two main players here. Of course, the storm that we're talking about down here at the bottom of your screen, and the big area of high pressure to the north. It is the difference in pressure between the two which is causing some of the strong winds coming onshore. And of course, Mike is standing in the heavy rain. But again, it's as that moisture banks up against the Appalachians, that's where we're getting the heaviest snow, upwards of 2 feet in some places.
And it's going to be this onshore flow in here that plays a role in tomorrow's weather, which we'll be talking about shortly.
All right, Mike, and you can see why it's raining so hard there. Mike located about right there. He is in the direct path of this feeder band, if you will. We talk about feeder bands often in tropical systems, but that's the main flow of moisture coming in, and actually that wraps all the way around here and gets back up into the mountains. That's where we're getting the heavy snow in this area.
And it turns out that the surface low pressure is in roughly this area, but the upper level low pressure system is still far back over western North Carolina and Virginia, and that's why some of that precipitation has gotten so far to the west.
We have a lot of interstate closures. I-81 travel, I've not heard that that interstate is closed yet, but travel's not recommended there. But part of I-40 is closed here through North Carolina. It is an absolute mess there. And I guess this really begs the question, Dan, is all this precipitation headed up to the northeast, or are we going to get mist up there?
Well, unfortunately, the computer models have not been real instructive in telling us exactly where the precipitation was going to set up. In today's case, we do think that the low pressure area will be moving offshore, not exactly a typical track for East Coast systems, but this one does appear to be doing that, but it's taking its time, and with so much precipitation back here, we just cannot put up the all clear signal for places in New Jersey and southern New England. It looks like there will be some precipitation tomorrow. The question is how much and in what form. It looks like for New York City, a little bit of rain, but in the suburbs and in southern New England, we could see some frozen precipitation mixed in, especially once the winds turn northerly and we start to bring some colder air back down, and that'll be later tomorrow.
Not a major storm, though, not like the snow we're seeing in like West Virginia and North Carolina.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
All right, so it could be a little messy in southern New England, New York City area tomorrow morning. We'll keep you updated on that. Thanks, Dan. And again, if you want to keep updated and you're away from your TV, you can always check us out at our website at weather.com. Warren, back in the studio, has a look at the rest of the nation's weather, and he'll take a sneak peek at tomorrow.
That's right, Jeff. Elsewhere in the nation, you'll mostly find drier conditions and relatively mild temperatures, but a new storm is on the horizon for those of you watching us from the Pacific Northwest. It is just off the coast now, and it is making its way eastward. Let's take a look at the map, and we can show you what is going on. There it is right there. You can see the rain, the fronts already offshore. It'll be coming onshore during the course of the overnight hours and into the day on your Wednesday, so get ready, Seattle, Portland on down toward Coos Bay. You'll be seeing more rain coming to the picture, but pretty quiet across the southwest right now. High pressure camped out right over the Four Corners. Here's the wet weather. Lots of moisture coming in, and there's another storm already sitting and spinning. You can see it tracking its way eastward, so there's more where that came from. All that wind over the Pacific coming ashore, Cape Flattery down to Bodega Bay. Gale warning up. Gusts up over 39 miles an hour possible through Wednesday morning. And from Point St. George down to Point Arena, the surf will be kicking up as well, so please be careful if you're heading down to the beach. We're also seeing some fog this evening across parts of the Midwest. We're seeing visibilities down to about quarter mile, Des Moines on down toward Peoria, Champaign, Urbana, heading up toward Peru and Indiana, 1/16 of a mile. Seeing some light snow and even some mixed precipitation right now around Sault Ste. Marie, and some light snow across parts of northern New England, but it is very light. May add up to, maybe an inch or so here across northern New England, upstate New York through noon on Wednesday, but really not that much at all, certainly not by comparison with what is falling farther to the south. Winter not really making its presence felt temperature-wise across the nation, especially in the midsection where we were 15 to 20 degrees above average for this time of the year. 3 records for the day: Hill City and Salina, Kansas, breaking the records, getting to 63 degrees in Hill City, in late January? Go figure. Right now, 43 degrees Dodge City, 46 in Kansas City. Looking at the forecast for your morning, watch out here at New York.